Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome to our last installment of our Best of the Rest series where we talk about the rest of the cards from Guilds of Ravnica not spoiled individually. If you've missed previous episodes where we talk about white, blue, and black, there will be a link on your screen to start you on that journey. In this episode, we'll be focusing on the rest of the red and green cards in the set. I do hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, remember to hit that like button right down there. It helps out a lot. I love you. Cosmotronic Wave, great name, is 4 mana for a sorcery. It deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. Creatures your opponents control can't block this turn. Hot dang, this is definitely a way for Boros to get through. It looks like an Izzet card to me, but this thing is totally Boros. If you can splash right into Selesnya, works there too. The wave is a game winner. Paralyze all of your opponent's creatures, and then alpha swing in for the win. It's pretty simple. I probably wouldn't play this in any deck that doesn't intend to win on the same turn it uses this, but if you have a creature-heavy deck that is prone to board stalls, this breaks a board stall good and quick. Fire Urchin is 2 mana for a 1/3 elemental with trample. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Perfectly fine card in the Izzet deck, probably the only place you're going to want to run this, unless you splash right into a Dimir Surveil deck, in which case, nice splash, my friend. Fire Urchin is a bit weak for constructed play, but for limited, it drops quickly, has a decent-sized booty, and trample to take advantage of multiple casts. It's perfectly fine to drop in any red limited deck that has enough spells to trigger this often. Gravitic Punch is 4 mana for a sorcery with Jumpstart. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target player. Now this is a bit of a weird card. As I was reading it, I thought, oh my god, Jumpstart removal, so good. Then I read that it has to target a player and that hurt a bit. Gravitic Punch, while being an Izzet card, is going to function better as a Boros card or even a Selesnyan one. You need a creature-heavy deck for this to be good. You need to make sure this isn't a dead card in your hand. But if you do have a few giant creatures, the punch could bring your opponent from 10 to 0 really quickly. Jump-starting this isn't going to be a problem. So if you open this, and you open a few 5-power creatures, Gravitic Punch is online. It's a weird win condition, but yeah, it can be real. Maniacal Rage is back, and you know what that means, super aggro decks only. Maniacal Rage is only useful in strategies where you never intend to block and you never intend to stop attacking. You are aggressive all the time, forever. If you are in a deck that would ever hesitate, do not play this card. Hope that was straightforward enough for you. Ornery Goblin is 2 mana for a 2/1 Goblin Warrior. Whenever it blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, it deals 1 damage to that creature. Quote, nobody ever listens to my complaints, not even when I use the listening stick. Oh, poor Billy. No one ever listens to poor Billy. That's actually really sad. Anywho, I guess Billy makes up for that with a sweet trigger. Being a 2/1 for 2 is just fine as a curve filler, but it does assassinate other 1 toughness creatures before combat damage is even dealt. Solid against token decks, great card to stick on aggro enchantment on. Gonna trade up a lot of the time, solid card even if no one will listen to him. Oh, poor Billy. Revolt Belt Boar is 4 mana for a 3/3 boar. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. This card is sweet. It's a perfect mid-pack pick. It's aggressive, gives combat advantage to one of your creatures, and is a 3/3 in its own right. Perfect card to smooth out your curve in any red limited deck, and not much more to say than that. This is good stuff. Good card. Smelt Ward Minotaur is 3 mana for a 2/3 Minotaur Warrior. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, target creature an opponent controls can't block this turn. Nice little spell slinging Minotaur right here. This is just fine in an Izzet limited deck, or really any limited deck with a decent number of spells in it. Being a 2/3 for 3 isn't great, so you'll need to take advantage of that trigger for the Minotaur to be useful at all. Keep that in mind. This doesn't fit into every red limited deck. Aim for at least 6 to 7 spells in a deck this is in. Street Ride is 5 mana for an enchantment as long as it's your turn. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample. This is a Gruul card that flavor text is Domri Raid. Quote, They said obey and you'll be happy. They said you'll be safe, but we're not safe. We're not happy and we will not obey. Oh, that gave me chills. Domirate is not messing around, which means we will definitely see him back in the next set. Hot dang, that's awesome. As for the card itself, it is very mean, but it turns all of your creatures into creatures that will trade up. That power boost isn't nothing. Turning 2/2s into 3/2s puts them in a higher tier of creature. Street Riot in a creature-heavy deck will add lots of power to the board, only useful there. Sure Strike is back. Sweet! This is a solid combat trick in Limited, maybe even in Standard in a spell-slinging deck. It's cheap, efficient, and almost always wins combat for you. Not a lot to say here, except in a Limited deck, make sure you're aggressive enough for this. That's it. Torch Courier is 1 mana for a 1/1 goblin with haste. You can sacrifice it and another target creature gains haste until end of turn. Wowza! Pair this with War and Instigator in Modern and you are off to the races real quick. God love some fast goblins. The only thing that goblins was missing, at least super early game, was a haste granter. The Courier gives them haste, just saying. This is a goblin that helps other goblins, just saying. On to green cards. Devkarin Dissident is 2 mana for a 2/2 elf warrior. You can pay 5 mana and it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Great card, awesome card for all green limited decks anywhere. Early game relevance is a 2/2 for 2, and late game relevance as an easy mana sink you can turn into a 4/4 easily, or a 6/6. It's a solid card. Include this in every green limited deck you build. It's a great curve filler, 5 out of 7. Grappling Sundew is 2 mana for a 0/4 plant with Defender and Reach. You can also pay 5 mana and it gains Indestructible until end of turn. What a super weird card. 2 mana for a 0/4 with Defender and Reach is going to halt most flyers in the set, so there's a ton of value there, and it stops all early attackers, so even more value for only 2 mana. Being able to give it Indestructible is a perfect and reliable mana sink late game. This might be a 0/4, but if it can't die, then chances are you're saving yourself from taking a ton of damage over the long term. I can see this card being taken early in decks that work a bit slow. Straight bad in fast decks, just to be clear, but relatively strong in slow ones. Pax Favor is 3 mana for an instant with Convoke. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. What a dumpster combat trick. This is going to make so many players angry. When you're tapped out, your opponents don't think you can do anything meaningful. So they attack in, you block, tap your creature, Pax Favor, win combat, they concede, quit magic, start playing the new Transformers TCG, which actually looks pretty decent, so never mind. Anyways, you get my point. Pax Favor is solid in any token-based deck, really any deck that focuses on creatures at all. I'd never run more than one, but I'll gladly run one for the lulz. Pause for Reflection is 3 mana for an instant with Convoke. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Interesting fog effect, another card that can bait the opponent into an alpha swing, then come over the top and wreck them. But this is quite narrow. You're only ever going to want this when you're in a board stall and your opponent finds a way to swing at you with everything. That's really the only time you're ever going to want to waste a deck spot on this. It's your call, but you'll probably end up not playing this the vast majority of the time. Portcullis Vine is 1 mana for a 0/3 plant wall with Defender. You can pay 2 mana, tap it, and sacrifice a creature with Defender to draw a card. I actually like this a lot. We've seen multiple cards with Defender in black and green, the colors of Golgari. I think being able to gather Defender cards, sacrifice them, draw cards, and feel Undergrowth is actually pretty friggin' clever. No one's gonna prioritize these Defender cards in draft. If you need Undergrowth fuel, Defender creatures can be that fuel, and on their way to the yard, they can net you even more value. Portcullis Vine is genius. Weak enough that it won't be taken by anyone else except the Golgari player. Big fan. Genius design. What a limited strategy. I love it. Prey Upon is back. This is removal in green, which means you take it early and often. I'm sure you already know how amazing Prey Upon is. Top tier green removal. Play this card. Let's move on. Urban Utopia is 2 mana for an enchant land aura. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted land has the ability to tap and add 1 mana of any color. I love cards like this. Not only is this going to let green players splash a 3rd color so much easier, but it grabs an extra card, is great for a commander, and possibly even standard as decks push to include more colors. It doesn't ramp you, but it fixes you for every color and draws you a card. It's decent for limited decks looking for some fixing. Vigor Spore Worm is 6 mana for a 6/4 worm with Undergrowth. When the worm enters the battlefield, target creature gains vigilance and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. The worm can't be blocked by more than one creature. Whoa, what a monster! This card is crazy sauce. 6 mana for a 6/4 is already a force to be reckoned with in Limited. It'll trade with basically anything. Not only that, but it can only be blocked by one creature. Gross! And not only that, this Undergrowth trigger is strong. You buff a creature and give it vigilance for a free attack. Vigor Spore Worm may be a common, but it certainly doesn't feel like one. Perfect card for the top end of an Undergrowth deck. Pick this up if you have any graveyard shenanigans going on at all. It's quite strong. We did it. We finally made it to the end of our Best of the Rest series. What do you think? How are you feeling about red and green? Personally, I think red is acting real aggressive up in here. Basically, every card we looked at was crazy aggressive. Green, on the other hand, hugely supportive of both Selesnya and Golgari. That's interesting to me. It means that you can pick either guild at the pre-release and know that you're going to get at least a little help from the non-seeded packs. That's really good to know, actually. Anywho, be sure to stay tuned for our pre-release guide coming at you real soon. It'll have all the information you'll need to take down your pre-release. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. Those Ravnica booster boxes, $91 each right now. Click the link to help the channel. I am running out of cute and fun ways to say this stuff that just fair prices. If you don't have a local game store or yours charges way too much, just click the link, okay? Help me afford, I don't know, shelter, okay? Just enjoy. Gosh, all right, just enjoy. Your heavy deck will add lots of power to the board, only uses the, no, it's the last word of the sentence right there.